Right, I am about to hit a massive milestone personally, and that is 200 roller coasters. Right now, I am on 189 across the UK, Europe, and of course America. When this video releases, I will be in the US on a massive trip, experiencing something silly like 70 new coasters, so I am curious what my 200th ride will be. But right now, let's take a look at my top 10, because I'm sure this list will change soon. Right, so at number 10, I struggled with this one because I really wanted to have a wooden coaster in the lineup. I do love a good wooden coaster, and there are some great examples out there. And the reason I struggled is because there are two coasters that I can't quite separate. So I'm going to put this one as a joint win at 10th place. And that is between Joris and de Draak over in Efteling. Fantastic dueling coaster, love it to bits. It's just bonkers in the right way. And then another coaster that is also bonkers in the right way is the Cuchulainn over in Emerald Park. Again, fantastic wooden ride. I have ridden this one back row, end of the day, when it is wet, and it absolutely flies around. So at number 10, I can't quite separate these two, but those two wooden coasters make the list. Right, number 9 is a coaster that I was actually pleasantly surprised by. Now it's a stand-up coaster, and you know, notoriously stand-up coasters are not very popular. Certainly the ones I've done in the past have been very, very uncomfortable. But this one is a very different breed, and that is the Pipeline coaster over at SeaWorld. This is B&M's latest creation. We've not seen a second installation of these yet. I am curious who else is going to get it, but their experience is fantastic. The whole suspended seats, you know, your feet lifting off the board, it is just bonkers. If you've seen the POV for me on this one, I'm just giggling like a schoolgirl the whole way around. Right, number 8 is all about the kind of immersion. And again, this is another unique ride that I am surprised we have not found a second installation of so far. And it is Fly in Phantasialand. Now, this is Vekoma's attempt at a flying coaster. It really does just show that flying coasters can be a lot better, a lot more comfortable than what we've had in the past. You know, most of us are used to something like Galactica at Alton Towers, but the loading mechanism, the fact that at the end on the brake run you're just left dangling, it's just not good. Whereas Vekoma have come up with this ingenious way that you are sitting at the start, you're sitting at the end, and it just gracefully twists into that flying position. But the whole experience with this one is what makes it. That Rookburg area is fantastic, you whiz around it. It's got the metal detectors, which sometimes are frustrating, but at the same time it allows this coaster to do some real near misses because they're not having to put nets everywhere like Universal have done lately. It's just fantastic. So yeah, this one is definitely on my list. Right, speaking of Universal, actually the next one at number 7 is from Universal. Now I've not yet got out to Epic, I'll hopefully do that next year, but this is just from Islands of Adventure, and it is the Hagrid's Ride. Now I always forget the stupidly long name, Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure or something along those lines. This thing is fantastic, right? It's a people eater. I think it's got up to 10 trains, but usually runs like 8 of them, which is just crazy, which means that it is a visual spectacle as well because you see all these trains darting about. It's quite a long track. I remember watching one of Scott's videos lately and Stephen was saying like the drop track in there's actually 2 of them because the frequency that they're throwing trains out, one drop track hasn't reset fast enough. So every second train goes into a different part of the ride. Did not know that until recently. Always thought it was the same experience every time. But yeah, depending on which train you're on, you go into different bits. So this thing is a throughput machine and it is absolutely fantastic. So definitely on my list. Right, so number 6 is a ride that I was petrified of before I went on it. The reason for that is because we've got its little brother here in the UK and it scared the crap out of me as well. Until I eventually did it. Now, the ride that is at number 6 is Red Force over in Spain, in Ferrariland. An absolutely fantastic, you know, launch coaster, top hat, the whole shebang. But the concept of it kind of petrified me for a bit. Stealth is the one I was talking about here in the UK that I looked at and went, yep, you're not getting me on that. And then I did it and I lapped it because it was fantastic. So Red Force is bonkers, absolutely love this thing. And it is, again, made it on my list. Right, so number 5 is a ride that I know some people have put as their number 1. I do enjoy it. It's obviously on my list and it's higher than the ones I've talked about so far, but it hasn't made the top spot for me. And that is Ride to Happiness over in Plopsaland, Japan, or Plopsaland Belgium, I think it's been renamed to, or about to be renamed to. This is their Mack Extreme Spinning Coaster, and this thing is crazy. I think its location is interesting, because Plopsaland is not a thrill park in any shape or form. So to put this ride in there seems absolutely crazy, but it is fantastic. You know, that JoJo roll coming out of the station, beautiful. The launch, immediately you're spinning. The soundtrack that goes with it, the whole thing is just fantastic. And of course it is a very, very unique experience because it will never be the same twice, right? That weight distribution, it is free spinning, so you will get a completely different experience depending on who is in the vehicle with you. But yeah, absolutely fantastic, and makes it to my number 5 spot. Right, it's getting a bit harder to separate the rides now as we get closer to the number 1 spot. Number 4 is a coaster that you've probably heard me talking about because I didn't go on it the first time I visited this park because of a thunderstorm. And that is, of course, Aranguazi. Now, I've only done a couple of RMCs, and I absolutely loved this one. I did Untamed, wasn't that impressed with it. The restraints on RMCs are odd. They're definitely strange, that kind of leg restraint thing. Yeah, they're just not the most comfortable. But this thing is relentless. The minute you leave the top of that lift hill and you're off, it's non-stop. It is just hammering you, banking, inversions, stalls, the whole shebang. Absolutely loved it. My missus didn't. She hated it, and that came off with claw marks because, yeah, she was screaming the whole way around. But it makes number 4 for me. Number 3 is a coaster that I didn't expect too much from. I mean, I'd heard people say good things about it, but I kind of looked at it and went, oh, okay, that looks like the Spanish version of the Big One. I was massively wrong, right? Don't come at me in the comments. I know it is nothing like that. It's Shambhala. I also obviously, like, the comparisons are only like, oh look, it's a big lift hill and then a drop. Beyond that, this thing's an airtime machine. It's made by a completely different manufacturer. I get it, they're not the same. And it's fantastic, right? It is a complete airtime machine. Your backside is out of that seat almost the entire way around. It is fantastic. So yeah, that is why it made it to number 3 for me. Right, I'm curious what the comments are going to be on this one because my number 2, some people would put above my number 1 for sure, definitely. And it is a fantastic coaster. We're going back to America again, and it is Velocicoaster. Now, I absolutely love this thing. It is just crazy. The theming, the way they've done the queue line is great, you know, with a bit where you see the train going past and the dinosaurs running along. Excellent, really like that. And it's a queue that moves, right? Yes, it can have some long queues. I've seen other videos where people have got 15-minute waits, but even if you don't, typically this thing is chewing through the crowd, and that queue is constantly moving. Kind of like the way they've done the lockers towards the end, so you've got your stuff most of the way through, because I think that's one of the problems with Universal, that there's lots of lockers, but it tends to be put it in the locker before you go on the ride. And then if you're in a long queue, you've got nothing to entertain you, no phone, none of that stuff. So I like the way this one works. The elements on it are fantastic. That Mosasaurus roll at the end, absolutely amazing. Like you think you're going to dunk your head in the water. It is brilliant. Absolutely love this thing, and it's made it to number 2. Right, so that obviously leaves the question of what is number 1. And interestingly, there's a coaster I'm getting on when I'm in America that I have seen so many people say is their number 1. So I've got a funny feeling this might be knocked off this spot in a few weeks' time. But right now, my personal favourite is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. And that probably surprises a few people because this is by no means an extreme coaster in any shape or form, but it is a fantastic package. I think the whole theming of it, you know, I love the way that Disney has themed the exterior, the queue line, you know, all the way through. The pre-show, I'm not a fan of pre-shows in general because I think once you've seen them once, you don't need to see it again, right? Like, it's part of the storytelling, I get that. The Wicker Man's another example, like, okay, we've seen it now, can we just get on the damn ride? This one is really good, that whole teleporting you up and all that kind of thing. And then obviously through the station is fantastic. Again, this thing is an absolute people eater, like, you know, dual loading stations, all that kind of stuff. But the way that this works, you know, the whole backwards launch, the spinning you around and focusing you on certain things. So unlike Ride to Happiness, this thing is a controlled spin. They're pointing you at what they want you to see. So, you know, as you're kind of doing this downward helix, there's like a planet in the middle and you're cycling around looking at it. And the thing that makes this one, again, I'm a huge fan of onboard audio, and this one has a randomized soundtrack. And I've had a few of them because I think I've had 3 or 4 shots on this thing now, but I absolutely love it. Went on it with my partner last year and she came off. Doesn't like spinning rides, I might add. came off saying best ride she's ever done. So this thing is just fantastic for me. As I said, there's a load of credits on my upcoming US trip, which I will be doing as this video is released, and I'm sure this list will change. But I'd love to know your thoughts on this one. Do any of these rides feature on your top 10, or are yours completely different? Let's get talking in the comments. If you've enjoyed this one, hit that like button, and please, if you've seen a few of my videos, consider hitting that subscribe button too. I've been Chris, you've been watching Coaster Dad, and I shall see you in the next one. Adios!